guys, what's up? It's Sean, Autotopia LA. We're back up here in Camarillo, California at Timeless Kustoms with my pal Jason. Dude, always good to see you. You know, I've said it to you, to your face and behind your back when you're not around. One of my favorite things about the builds you do, like this one, pretty, they're great looking cars. If you wanted it to be a show car, it can be a show car. But I always love that your focus has been on building cars you can drive down the road in traffic. It won't overheat, you can get on it hard, you can go out in autocar, like you build driver cars. Absolutely. And that can't be said, in my personal opinion, about every builder out there.
I agree.
So what are we digging in on today?
So this is Bob's 62 Corvette that came in pieces, front end hit, so it just made sense.
It's a total mess of a car.
Yeah, so it really made sense to take this car and go the direction we did. So This car has an Art Morrison chassis under it. All C6 Corvette front suspension, and then a Watts link, 3-link in the rear. So 9-inch Ford in the rear as well. Right. So this LT1 crate motor, the car makes 470 at the tire. Pretty good numbers.
In a car that weighs what?
3,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Right? 6-speed Tremec, diad clutch like we normally do. Eaton True Track in the rear, carbon ceramic brakes on it.
You're always carbon ceramic. Manual?
Love the carbon ceramic, manual brake.
Yeah.
Right? You know, a manual system is a little easier to get in a car. The manual, the master cylinder itself is much smaller. Right. You don't have a booster that's requiring vacuum or even, you know, electric assist at that nowadays. But
is it true that with a manual brake you're going to have less chance of any form of brake failure?
I would agree with you. I think that's the #1 thing, right? So if you're spending time on the track, or you're spending time in the canyons, and say you ran the car out of fuel, or even worse, you blew the motor up, you're always going to have that same brake feel, regardless.
It's not affected by anything
Not affected
else.
by anything other than the brake system itself. So I think that's a big deal.
Yeah,
especially when you start pushing the car, right?
I agree.
Forge line on this car, have a really good relationship with them. We did go and chrome these wheels. Just because the car really needed it. It tied it into the rest of the trim. A polished wheel is really difficult to maintain. So a chrome plated wheel is really easy to clean up.
So easy to just wipe it up.
It really is. The car isn't modified very much at all, exterior wise.
As far as any of the body at all, it's all pretty stock body.
Body's very stock.
Any lines sharpened or anything like that?
Always.
You always do that.
We did take the cove out of this car, so it's missing the trim that runs and circles the cove.
Oh yeah.
And then most of these cars would have a painted cove as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But the car just looks so good without it. That's really about it. You know, we got rid of the Corvette logo on the nose of the car, but other than that, the car is very stock. The car sits at about 4.5 inches up front, 5.5 inches in the rear, so it's got a really good tailored ride height. What
are the wheel sizes and tire sizes you're running?
So the front wheel is a 19x9. I believe with a 265 up front, and the rear is a 19x12 with a 305 in the rear.
Great.
Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2.
Did you do MagnaFlow on this like you do a lot of times?
This car has 2.5-inch MagnaFlow on it. It does have an ultimate header. I believe it's an 1.75 inch, 1.7/8 tube header on it. It's just a really well detailed car. We fabricated the reservoirs for the motor. It's got a Holley front drive on it. But other than that, for the most part, this is a very simple car.
Yeah.
Just packaged well.
I mean, I love your version of simple because it's, you know, it's like right away starting with a Morrison chassis.
We feel that that's what makes these cars work. And it doesn't matter if it's a Corvette to us, a Camaro, a Mustang. We feel that the Art Morrison chassis is what makes these cars work. It's a foundation for everything else we do. The RideTech shocks that's on the car, that's another big deal for us.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time with RideTech. It's a triple adjustable reservoir shock. Every car we build has them on it. And I really think between the two, you really can get the car you're looking for.
Forge line does a great design, but they're proven that you can go beat on these and they're not going to crack and do weird things like some other brands do.
Absolutely.
A lot of you guys might not know this, but there's like a lot of builders will do some stuff in-house, but they outsource a fair amount, maybe interior, maybe some of their fabrication, oftentimes paint and body. Everything in-house with you guys.
Right. Everything but engine machine work. We do assembly, but our engine machine work is done by QMP. Car has a real simple audio system. 2 8-inch subs, single amplifier, 6.5-inch separates up front, and a set of 5 1/4s under the rear deck just for some rear fill. It does have a navigation system in it, retrofitted.
That's cool. And it looks like a vintage air.
I'm sorry, Alpine head unit. Yeah.
Looks like a vintage
air
controller.
in the car, right? Tilt column. The
smaller wheel, obviously, because these were always tough to get into without the tilt.
14-inch wheel, absolutely. And then Dakota Digital, that would be the other big change for us.
Yeah, and Bill lit this up for me. I mean, that is so slick.
You can change the colors that are in it. You can change the displays. You can change the gauge package. You can change what's displayed on the actual display for it. But we've incorporated them now into most of the cars that we build.
Really slick.
And the cool thing is they plug straight into the wiring harness.
Really?
You're using all the stock sensors off the engine, which usually means you're getting the correct readings.
Yeah.
So there's no guessing what the car's doing, you know?
Yeah. I know there's a lot of money in this car. I know this isn't a car you built for $50,000 or $100,000.
No,
I mean, this is hundreds of thousands into this build.
Correct.
You know, I say it way too much. It's one of my favorite parts about the custom car world is the choices that are made and then the execution of the choices. But just, god dang, is this beautiful, dude. I'm so glad you called us to come shoot this one, man.
Glad to hear it.
There's no room to go back, right? This is it.
That's all you get.
I mean, my legs are actually
pretty good.
Like I could definitely sit here and drive this car.
I think 5'6" to 5'10", this car fits really well.
Yeah, and I'm like 5'11", you know?
Just a little too big.
Although I'm old and I'm Jewish, so I'm starting to shrink.
The front of the car, very stock once again, got rid of the Corvette logo in the middle of the nose, but other than that, spent a bunch of time fitting the headlight buckets, because really that's the biggest challenge on these cars, and then getting all the grille shell and everything to lay out and square up. The bumpers, they've been shaved of their hardware, and then obviously we have the Dapper headlights, which it's not just because they look cool. Driving a car with a good set of headlights at night is a great thing. And when you experience how this headlight works and how well it works for an LED headlight, it's a killer headlight. And when it's lit up, it just looks fantastic.
And I actually like getting rid of the logo. I like the simplicity.
Yeah, just like the coves on the side of the car. You know, just a couple little tweaks really changed the overall.
See, this is another one for me, is gaps. Wheels and stance, they say make a car. Yes, I'll agree with you to a certain extent. If gaps are off and wheels and stance is on, your car looks ugly.
This is the expectation now. You know, you need to have a car that's gapped properly. You need to have a car that is straight as an arrow. But at the end result is, it's breathtaking.
Yeah.
Really, when it's done right.
So now, is this car like done, ready to go back to the owner?
So we finished dyno last week. The car should go home this week. You're the first guy to drive it other than the client.
Oh man. How many miles have you put on it so far?
I think we're right at 400.
You know, I've seen cars get delivered from a builder that have half a mile on it, 2 miles on it, where it's like, I mean, in the 400 or 500 miles, I'll bet you discover little things here and there and go, oh, well, there's a rattle here, or
you tweak also, right?
Right.
Especially when you have an adjustable shock package and you change the bias in the brakes, or you tweak the shocks, you stiffen the car here, soften the car there. But you definitely want to know that the car works. And 400, 500 miles, it's really not a bunch of miles, but you need to put the car through various conditions. You want to do all those things prior.
All the settings where the owner's going to potentially drive the car, right?
Absolutely. So a 500-mile break-in, it's really not much. And every one of these cars is one-off. So you do have to go and put a little bit of due diligence and time into getting the car right. But what you give the client speaks volumes about what you do as a shop. Plus it's fun. It's fun.
Well, yeah, there's that part too, right? The drive that we're about to do, I feel like I'm being of service to your client. I'm a giver, just in case you guys didn't know. Here we go for a drive. Jason, as usual, is very busy managing his shop, managing his client base, doing his work thing. I get the pleasure of just taking this beautiful Corvette out for a drive by myself. Sitting in these old C1 and C2 Corvettes, it's a tight setup, you know? That said, you know, the only thing really tight in here is that the wheel comes pretty close this way. But I mean, as far as actually sitting in here, my legs are, you know, I mean, I might push the seat back a little if I had the option. But I tell you, I always look forward to driving a Timeless Kustoms built car, because I know mechanically they're always sound cars. They always look beautiful, obviously, but I really like that Jason and his crew build cars like this that are, you know, meant to be driven down the road. You know, starting with a Morrison chassis isn't a bad place to start. You got a solid platform, the ride tech stuff. Again, you got great shocks. Jason works with products that he trusts, he's built relationships with over the years. Plenty of power too. I mean, you got the small little wheelbase. I think Jason said around 470 at the tire. I know a lot of you guys like more power than I might, but to me, this is where I like it to sit. And I mean, look at how beautiful this car is, you know? I love the subtle changes that they made, getting rid of the insert along the door and fender area, just the solid red. Yeah, this is put your girl in the passenger seat and go cruise and enjoy. Great tone too, right? Like if somebody was in here, you wouldn't have to be yelling and screaming at them. But boy, you put a little foot in it, you know, and it really just comes to life. Whew. Just responds immediately. It's interesting to see, like Jason said, you know, it used to be LS, but now we're starting to see a lot more of the LT platform. Man, I love where this clutch starts to bite. It's like, I swear, you barely let the pedal out and it's going. It's starting to move already. I'm a big fan of what Jason does with manual brakes. At this point, he doesn't even mess with cars that aren't a full chassis build, ground up. Exclusively, he uses Art Morrison, Ride Tech. But I like the stuff that they build, man. They build, in my opinion, true quality driver cars that look exceptional. Boy, it's funny, the tightness of the turning radius. I've noticed it a couple times. When you go to make a U-turn, it's not as tight as you would think. But, I mean, look. I mean, this is another one of those cars where if I have any gripe, the major gripe is that my name's not on the title, which means this is the only time I'm ever driving this thing. And it is a beautiful driving car, man. Genuinely impressed. Jason, Timeless, crew, you guys once again, you nailed it, man. Well, truly an exceptional build from Jason and his crew at Timeless Kustoms. These guys just know what they're doing. A lot of years of building cars, and this is what you get. You get a car that looks like this, just truly beautiful. It drives wonderfully, from the gauges to the way it shifts, when the clutch grabs, just everything. The platform they build on, totally, completely, once again, knocked out. It's why I'm such a big fan of what they do at Timeless. That's it for today, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. As you know, I had a great time driving this car. The only bummer is right now it's time to go turn this car back in and say goodbye to our friend Jason. So thanks for hanging and watching, you guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. All right, man, later.